As you probably know, there have been well-documented problems with the federal rollout of the new FAFSA, or Free Application for Federal Student Aid, project 3 years in the making that has been fumbled pretty badly right at the finish line here. The Department of Education continues to struggle in giving schools access to viable test records. At this point, we, along with almost every school in the country, are running weeks behind our typical financial aid packaging timelines. We're communicating to admitted students that we are committed to giving them the information they need to make the best college decisions for themselves. But our hands are tied by the information we get from the federal government. In the interest of making sure our incoming students have enough time to receive and evaluate their financial aid packages, we have extended the commitment deadline from May 1st to June 1st, which many institutions across the country are doing. I could offer presidential prose that papers over this. This is not good. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The only benefit is that it is not unique to Rutgers, this particular challenge, but it is a serious disappointment in terms of what was promised to us by the Department of Education. I want to publicly acknowledge the frontline staff in admissions and financial aid, especially in light of this, who are working so hard to help our admitted students and all our returning students. And while no doubt the road ahead for the submission cycle for all of higher education will require continued attention, the news changes almost on a daily basis, Rutgers does look forward to welcoming a phenomenal incoming class in the fall.
There's a ton of students who have been sort of put on this second layer of a waiting list. If we've pushed back the date to June 1, when do those students have the opportunity now to make the decision to come to Rutgers or not?
For those on the wait list, you're saying?
Yeah, like the wait list. There's a word for it. I'm sorry, I forgot it.
Everything is delayed.
Yeah.
Everything, and it's everywhere. The only schools that are, the only individuals who are free of this are those people of means who aren't expecting to rely on financial aid at all. That's a very small subset nationwide. And then those schools who have significant resources that they can run a fairly, well, some measure of risk. I mean, it depends on the institution, making commitments now to their students. And this is not just for new students, this is also returning students.
Right, the word I was looking for is waitlisted.
I'm sorry?
Waitlisted.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Okay. I'm walking through all the different.
It just popped in my head, I had to get it out.
So there are wealthy families for whom they are in a different conversation. They can just accept the offers wherever they're going. So not going to get financial aid. There are the returning students and incoming students who are going to be suffering these delays. They don't have to commit until June 1st, broadly speaking. And what I had a check-in with the chancellors just yesterday. Our admit coming rate, people who have been admitted and have said yes, is depressed right now because everybody's waiting for, well, what's the package going to be? And that's going to be a nationwide phenomenon. And so that creates a ripple effect downstream in terms of wait lists, notification, and in terms of any kind of financial aid packaging. So it's not good as far as that's concerned. One of the other challenges related to the wait list is because I'll put it in an affirmative way, I referenced that Rutgers admissions teams on our undergraduate campus are working together in new ways this year, so that the simplest way to put it is that the first response you get from Rutgers is you've been admitted to Rutgers, instead of you did not get admitted here, and then a week or two later, you get admitted someplace else in Rutgers. So you already have a bad taste in your mouth. So we're the first, if you're going to be admitted, you're going to get that first. So that we hope is going to make a difference in terms of wherever you've been admitted and wherever you want to go. But because there are way more students for all of our campuses who are eligible, who could cross the bar, the wait list is going to be a much more complicated space. And then practices where people who might have applied just to New Brunswick, but expressed interest in Camden, Newark, how they exist on the wait list if they're not admitted into New Brunswick. And the timing of it is also, everything is jammed up. I wish I could there's probably more technical ways of explaining it, but we'll just go with jammed up. That gets the point across. But but we were talking with Mike Gower yesterday, the chancellors and I. One of the chancellors said, well, what's the drop dead date? Like, at what point do we have to start working our own archival information about returning students so we can make best guesses in terms of how we package their aid? For I've only been talking undergrads. For medical students, medical school students, they start in April. So we're actually having, for a much smaller group, granted, packaging financial aid for them much earlier. But it's not a shot in the dark, but we're guessing in many ways, and we'll have to work out some arrangement for them. It's very messy.
President Holloway, I read on March 15th that the Department of Education had only processed a little over 5 million FAFSAs, and the anticipated amount is 17 million. So they still have quite a ways to go. Has the university received any ICERs from the Department of Ed? And what about how is our fellow Big Ten institutions doing? Are they getting the ICERs from the Department of Ed?
I'm going to turn that over to Mike Gower because he's the running point on this very issue.
So as of yesterday, we had received 6 real records. We had 100 test records last week, but 6 real records, and each of them was incorrect, meaning data that came from the Department of Education was incorrect. And that is the common experience across other institutions like us. So we've been in direct contact with the Department of Education on those, as have the other institutions, but it's just a bloody mess.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to be a while before they haven't processed a third of the applications yet. All right, thank you, Mike. Thank you, President Holloway.
Thank you.
My question was, how does this delay affect current students who receive financial aid through the federal government, as well as how does this affect Rutgers' ability to assess campus grants like the Scarlet Promise and Scarlet Guarantee? Because I know that has been a big concern.
Those are excellent questions, and I'll turn to Mike again.
Yes, good afternoon. This affects all students, incoming and continuing. We have 58,000 records that we're expecting. We have 58,000 students approximately that get some form of financial aid and fill out the forms. So it is impactful for everybody. And it will be coming to us in bits and pieces. I just got an update that we, in fact, today received 6,000 records, but that's 6,000 out of 58,000. So, and no idea where they are located. Do they come to us alphabetically? Do they come to us from year? We don't know until we process them, but assuming they're correct. So it is, that's a good start, but we have a long way to go on that.
And a follow-up question I have is, will the deadlines for the term bills be extended until students can receive the proper aid coming the fall semester?
Yes, although we don't expect to get into that kind of timeline unless it is a real disaster.